Well, and the interesting thing about that, a really good story. I'm glad you brought that up because when I was writing my research paper on, of course, dogs and the belief system of dogs and all that other stuff, and humans and how our belief has a negative effect on dogs at times, I was interviewing Dr. Voss from Purdue. And we were talking about this, and he said, well, we only learn through what we call embodied cognitions, experiences.
God, Brian, here you go again. Mongol horror.
Well, he broke it down. What he said was, for example, if I'm trying to tell you what true love is all about and you've never been in love, you can't possibly understand what I'm talking about. You have to have the experience of it for your brain to make sense of that information.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. The dog has not had an embodied cognition or an experience to tell him what the rules are within those experiences.
Yes.
Which is why so many handlers or even some trainers are failing, because they're not creating all the possibilities, or the trainer is not educating their handlers that, listen, if your dog fails, don't get pissed. That is an opportunity for you to learn and then to recreate where the dog failed and then modify the dog's behavior within that situation.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. No, we train. So we always talk about, we train to a level of 10 and only deploy to a level of 5, and we always look like stars.
Yep.
We do what's called well, from the military, it's the CQB dance.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's the dog can run between a bunch of different operators in different rooms, and as he comes in, he recognizes an operator. The operator tells him, keep searching that way. So it's almost like a game of tag.
Right.
And I brought that back to my shop, and some of the guys were like, well, we really don't get in that environment. We don't deploy like that, like the military guys, with 5 different operating groups and 6 different rooms, all, moving at the same time. I go, no, but we do search with the dogs off leash and can have 2 suspects all of a sudden engage us in a running gun battle with a loose dog somewhere in this warehouse. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you like to be able to be confident that if the dog comes around the corner and you're shooting, he's going to run up to you and go, hey, what's up, Daryl? Yep, revere, bud. Or off. Stay right there, because I'm not your handler, but I'm part of your group that can tell you. Same thing we do in day 1 of the SWAT school is we will muzzle up the dog. And guys always ask, because we're in really tight confined quarters, usually with NVGs and dark situations, dogs running loose. And guys ask, hey, how do you not get operators bit? Mm-hmm. Day 1, first exercise is we muzzle the dogs up and we put a group of operators in a really tight, like cluster with the dog in the middle. And we start manipulating and harassing the dog and stepping on him and pushing him until he gets pissed off enough to where he muzzle punches one of us.
Right.
If he muzzle punches one of us, the handler doesn't correct him. The entire group collapses on him and corrects him. Not the atomic elbow from the top rope, but just a simple, tapping him 4 or 5 times, booey on his shoulders. And he goes, what the was that?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Sorry, sirs. And then he goes, wait a minute. Every single one of you just corrected me for doing that, which puts me where? Down here. Right. So if I run in a room and I see Daryl and he's got a guy at gunpoint, he's screaming and yelling at him, I'm not worried about Daryl. Daryl's part of my group. I got to worry about what Daryl's dealing with. And that's how we teach the dog. And it only takes 1 or 2 evolutions before it switches on in that dog's head, because it's what they normally understand in their socialized behavior of, dude, this is what I'm telling you. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? And they pick it up right away, and it's ingrained.
Yeah.
And it's worked for us. Like I said, it's not the only way. It's not even the right way, but it's my way until I can steal someone else's idea and make money off of it.
Yeah, well,
it works for us.
That's my concept too, though. Don't try to fix what's not broken. If it's working, keep doing it then. And that's why, I run into a lot of controversy because I'm bringing the science to different techniques, and because it offends people's egos, they just shut it out. Like, no, not at all. I'm not even going to think that way. But you have to look at what's happening psychologically in the brain. if you're talking in a way that the other multicellular organism does not understand, then what good are you doing?
Right.
You know,
Right.
so if it's working, it means that they're understanding. You might not know all the science, but that's fine because it's working. Keep doing it.
Dude, it's hilarious that you say that, because in my lecture, when I get to operant conditioning, underneath of it in Prince's, I have scientific voodoo, because us knuckle draggers think that's some black art magic stuff that, sleight of hand, but it's not. It's just what you guys know and you can explain, but I can't explain it. Right. But I can show you how to do it. Right. But it's hilarious that you say it like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. Hey, real quick, I do want to, you might know this, but maybe you don't. Going back to other officers getting bit by the dog.
Okay.
There is a physiological reason also why that happens.
Yes.
Scientist Dr. Stanley Coren from the UK, he states in many of his research articles that a dog's visual acuity is only 20/75. Okay. So a dog's vision is actually very blurry.
Okay.
But their brain is designed by nature. The instinct is to pick up movement.
Yes.
Even though their world is blurry, they pick up on movement very quickly. So
absolutely.
In fact, he says that objects that a dog can barely see at 20 feet, humans can see at distances of 75 feet.
I'll agree with that as 100%. That's why we use flashbangs or other methods to make a suspect move, so the dog can get a lock on what I call missile lock.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we deploy our dog, which is why you said the magic words. You tell your handlers that you train, you better pay attention to where the dog is looking, because going back to your story with the paramedic, there was movement that caught the dog's eye.
Absolutely.
It trips people out when I say, have you ever seen a dog tree a squirrel? And the squirrel's running around, so the dog's running around, but then all of a sudden the squirrel freezes and the dog keeps running around looking for it.
Yeah.
And literally sometimes only 4 feet away.
Yeah.
Why is the dog then not zoning in? Because the movement stopped, the squirrel is blending in with the color of the tree, and there's no movement. Or when you throw a ball and the ball is still in the grass and the dog's standing 4 or 5 feet and they're like, okay, where'd it go? I know it's here somewhere.
Right.
Like if it stopped bouncing behind the dog and they turn around, why can't they see it? Well, they don't see color the way that we do, and their vision is very blurry.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So I think that happened to my brother. My brother was just out of his FTO. I think I may be not telling the story right, but he was chasing a suspect on foot. He didn't hear the announcement that they're releasing the K9. He kept in pursuit. They released the dog, and the dog went after him rather than the suspect that was only 30 yards in front of him.
Yeah.
Why? Because the dog couldn't tell that he was wearing a uniform at that distance.
Yeah, and I teach a lot of my guys, because normally there's one or two guys that are running, or they hit a different angle. So you're releasing the dog behind other people. I always tell them in your briefings every day, pound into these guys' head. If you hear hold for the dog or hold for K9, that means freeze right where you're at.
Yep. Because
the dog is getting released. Because I've had guys running right in front of the dog, suspects in front of them, and the guy will stop, and the dog goes right by my backup officer and goes tags my suspect.
Yeah. Because
they've been told, hold for K9. And I tell the guys, try not to let the dog go. The dog's going to beat him. Unless this is Jesse Owens' track star, the dog's going to beat him. It's just he's going to be a little more tired when he gets bit, which is fine with me.
Right.
So that extra 2 or 3 seconds to yell, hold for K9, let the backup officer stop running. Now the dog reacquires the other rabbit that's running. Right. Now release him. But it all is the monkey using this.
That's right.
So that's where I believe 90% of our problems. And it's also guys that are, I'll tell guys on my tactical teams, I go, hey, who's afraid of a dog? And no one raised their hand. I go, y'all are a bunch of liars. Which they're SWAT guys. So, if it's not hair product or bicep curls, they aren't interested in it. What? I'm a SWAT guy. I can say that. I'm honest. So I tell the guys, I go, you've got to be honest with me. If you're afraid of the dog, let me know. And those guys are the ones that I pull out first in class, and I make them put the dog on the bite and take the dog off, put the dog on it. So they get comfortable with the fact of, okay, This isn't, this ferocious beast.
Right.
You're sitting on a corner with your rifle up, and the dog comes on behind you, and you go, and you move like this. I'm like, dude, that's the way we teach our decoys to take a bite.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Hold. Don't give any movement. If the dog bumps into you, just let him go by you, because that movement is what's going to key him in. And dogs are self-serving, lazy animals. They're opportunists, and you'll be wearing a 65-pound fur coat if you do something stupid like this as a dog comes by you. And I tell the guys that. I go, you can't blame the dog because you gave him the picture that he's seen 1,000 times.
Right.
Another reason why in my e-collar class, I teach the dog to bite on command, not movement. I get away from this, the helper gets to make the dog decide. No. The dogs have been taught for the entire life, for 18 months or however long they've been trained, that when the helper moves like that, you're allowed to bite.
Yeah.
That's great in sport. That's not cool in police work.
Right.
Because you may have a dog that's on a down and you got a suspect that's being non-compliant, all of a sudden he goes compliant, and you're holding the dog and the officers are starting to approach, and all of a sudden he goes non-compliant again, but it doesn't raise to the level of letting your dog bite him. But the dog sees that movement from a stationary to the movement and goes, oh, I know this picture, and jumps out and bites the guy.
Right.
So I teach the dog, and the monkey understands the repetition association of hearing it 1,000 times and me putting the e-collar on them instead of the dog.
Yeah.
That until I tell you the bite command, I don't care what that guy's doing. He can be doing jumping jacks. He can be cooking breakfast. He can come up and actually pet you. If you look at my Instagram, I have pictures of me in a full bite suit petting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're on it down, and they're looking at me, and they're looking at their dad going, Dad, do you see what Daryl's doing?
Right.
Daryl's touching me. Why aren't you letting me kill Daryl?
Yeah.
But after I pet them and they understand, okay, you're not allowed to bite until Dad says it's okay. Then I stand up and perfectly still, I don't move, give him the bite command. And the second he says the of FOSS, dog's on me like white on rice, because the dog understands it.
Yep.
These are the rules, which leads into a lot of problems we have are passive prone suspects. Guys say, hey, my dog won't engage the guy because he was passive prone. That's because you haven't taught the dog a bite command isn't a release to go chase the rabbit. It is a obedience command to wherever I'm telling you, put your mouth on that object.
Yeah.
So if it's a passive prone guy that we've just shot and he's laying on a gun and we need to do a dead check with long line, do you have the same technology of dead checks? For the guys that don't, you get an officer shooting, the guy falls on a gun, you're behind cover, you put a long line on the dog, you send the dog up to grab the guy. So first of all, make sure he's not playing possum trying to ambush you. And number two, you pull the guy away from the weapon so your team can safely move up with some distance.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys have problems with that because, especially guys that have been shot and are probably dead, they haven't trained that. I tell my guys, teach the dog, when I say FOSS, I don't care if I'm pointing at a mannequin. I don't care if I'm pointing at a fire hose. I don't care if I'm pointing at a man. If I say FOSS, that means go put your mouth on
That's right.
that and bring it back to me.
Well, and to take that,
I got off on a tangent there.
No. It was a good tangent because it made me think about when I ran my kennels and I trained police dogs, or even personal protection dogs. I remembered the words of Terry Fleck. Terry was one of our instructors with another company that I resigned from. This was before Terry passed away. But I had an opportunity to talk to him quite a bit about case law and even false bite case law. Like, is a drunk person stumbling around, does that warrant the dog to attack them if they trip and fall because they're drunk? No. Okay, right. Is the guy guilty of public intox? Sure. But that doesn't warrant getting tased or a bite because there hasn't been any conflict yet.
Right.
The guy's just stumbling around. So, we get into this rigmarole of this is how a decoy behaves. And we train them with these tight parameters. And these decoys do the exact same shit over and over and over again. And they're not thinking outside the box. So I said, what does a drunk guy look like then? I don't know, because if I'm 2 sheets to the wind, I don't see myself. I don't have a mirror. No one's filming me. So I got on YouTube and I started studying the body movement and the sway and
You
how
should
they.
have told me. All you had to do is call me last night. I'd put you on video. You just see.
But you know what I
Tonight's
mean?
another chance, though. If you'd like, video me later. I'm sorry, bro.
No,
So you got on YouTube and we're watching these videos.
Yeah, I started studying how a drunk person actually stumbles and falls. What are the different ways? And I begin to incorporate that into my decoy work and then have the handler correct the dog. When the dog has the urge to lunge and bite because I stumble within 3 feet of the handler, that doesn't give the dog permission to bite.
Right.
So I completely agree with what you're saying. Or like you've seen the people on bath salts, the way they work, they look like they're dancing a jig sometimes, but that doesn't mean that it warrants an attack from the dog.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
need to assess the situation as the more intelligent species. You're supposed to say, hey, what's up? You recognize they're not in their right mind. You put a hand on them. If they're not resisting and you know that it's because they're not in their right mind, they can't hear me, and you could easily grab the other hand, it doesn't warrant a bite. Now,
or beating them with a baton or a taser, which I try to tell guys, if I can't beat him with a baton, I can't bite him.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the intentions of the person's heart, really.
Yeah.
Are they just stoned out of their mind and that's why they're not complying, but yet they're not a danger to me? Then I could probably handle this with my 2 hands. Now, if they look at you with the intent of doing harm, then that's a whole different ballgame. And I know we're going down the rabbit hole of case law and all the what, but I just think that that's a valid topic to talk about. And I think that needs to be incorporated in people's training.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
do these other things, give that exposure to the dog and let them know the rules of the obedience in bite work. Because you're right.
I agree. We have that a lot of times with all these SWAT dogs, like in my SWAT K9 course. A lot of these dogs, when they've seen, because training times are a premium. So the only time they've ever had the armor and all the SWAT guys kitted up and them sitting out there, they've always gotten a bite. Yeah. They've never seen the guy come out and peacefully surrender and no bite. So these guys are training their dogs through repetition association. I get to bite somebody. So when the guy does surrender on the Channel 5 News live at 5, and he walks by the canine guy, the dog's losing his mind, and goes, well, if I can't bite him, maybe I'll displace frustration on you or one of the TAC guys or something else. You've got to teach the guys, you got to teach the dogs, hey, sometimes they surrender. I actually made the mistake 2 years ago. We had a officer involved shooting. This guy had killed a Pomona cop. He was barricaded in his apartment. Long story short, 18 hours later, we decided to do an explosive breach. I was set up ready for the explosive breach, and we've always taught our dogs gunfire neutrality, flashbang neutrality, gas gun. It doesn't matter. It's like birds singing and the sun shining. It doesn't mean you get a bite. We had never taught them explosive breach neutrality. And it bit me in the ass, literally. I'm ready for the explosive breach. I'm set up. We're ready to go. The breach goes. It was a failed breach. So we had the big concussion, the noise. My dog's losing his mind. I got 2 operators in front of me, 2 behind me. We're in really tight quarters. And the dog's like, why aren't you letting me go? Because every time I've had that noise, I've always been released and got a bite. So I'm correcting them and yelling and screaming, which is, I don't understand, but SWAT guys get really mad when you start screaming and yelling and giving away their stealth position. I don't understand. I'm like, hey, we've been here 18 hours. They know we're here. But they weren't happy that I'm screaming, "Fooey off, fooey off." And in the background, I hear one of my old K9 guys going, how many times are you going to tell them to lay down? There must be an echo in here. Like, yeah, shut up, asshole. I'm going to tell him off until he does it. So long story short, which I know it's already a long story, they set up a secondary breach, throw another charge on, boom, and it goes again, another failure to breach. So we're stuck, and my dog goes, all right, enough of this. And through frustrated displacement, grabs me. Now, this is a dog that I've been with for 3 years, and he's an 85-pound rock star. And he knew better, because as soon as he did it, he goes like, oops, sorry, Dad. No, that bridge has been crossed. So we had a little discussion.
Yeah.
Live at 5 with some SWAT guys there and everything else, but we had our little training session. because you do not put your mouth on dad or anyone else around. But the whole point of it is we had never taught the dog, and this is a rock star dog, Brian. I mean, this dog is the best police dog I've ever had. He's sitting in my kennel right now. He's a rock star. He had never been taught an explosive breach neutrality.
Yep.
So it wasn't his fault. That was my fault. That was our fault. I can't get mad at the dog. Now I can correct him for biting me because that's the world we live in. You don't put your mouth on dad. I don't care. And there's a consequence to all kinds of things in life.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a mistake I had made. And after all these years of making that mistake, I went back to my unit and went, hey guys, I'm the first one to admit, hey, I screwed this up. Right. We need to go back and teach these dogs. Just because you hear the explosive breach doesn't mean, because we don't get that many training opportunities to do explosive breaches. So it's always a bite. Well, no, we got to change that.
Yep. And so, I'm really glad that you shared that story with me and everybody else, because that proves the point of those embodied cognitions, the experiences. If the dog, just like us, if they don't have the experience, they don't know how to behave. So then they choose what is common.
Right.
And if doing bite work after loud, crazy chaos, then that's what they're going to tap into.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I got to tell you, Daryl, man, this has been an amazing conversation. I think we touched on a lot of good points that other handlers around the country can soak in and think about as they formulate their training plan. So I can't thank you enough for sharing your experiences with us and your point of view.
Absolutely.
I really like that even with my description of the correction, you got it and you're doing it. You might not know all the science behind it. I'll be honest.
I can't say them big words.
Well, 90% of the trainers that I do talk to that are doing things right, they don't know that they're actually doing what's been proven scientifically. They just don't.
Oh, no, yeah. That's when you and I talked before. I'm like, yeah, I do that, but I don't know why. It just, it's like spaghetti against the wall. It didn't stick, so it's time to eat.
Yeah. Well, even the guys at Working Dog Radio, when they interviewed me, Ted was like, you're right. I tell guys all the time. They're like, well, why does it work? He goes, I don't know. Just do it.
Yeah.
It does work. And I feel like for me, it's just time. It's time for trainers and handlers to start understanding the proven science, not to go against anybody and not to discredit anybody. If anything, it's to build confidence in what you're already doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's why it works. So go with confidence. That's what my goal is. I sold my kennels because I wanted out of the rat race of, just handling dogs all the time, because I was so intrigued by, oh my God. And sometimes it was, oh my God, I've been wrong this entire time. I've been teaching people for the past.
Oh my God. It's hilarious you say that. The guy that I stole most of my stuff from, Brad Gillespie's Canadian, worked with their version of CO6 up there. Mm-hmm. He's went back to Ottawa, and he's a copper up in Ottawa. And great dog handler. I steal from him all the time. I give him credit, but I don't give him full credit. But he is the one that started this whole belief system I have that I'm teaching now for the last 10 years. And when he said some of the stuff he did and some of the stuff that I say in my class, and handlers look at me and they go, I have been beating dogs for the wrong reason for so long. I go, yeah, dude, I felt so guilty. Yeah. For 25 years, I've been abusing dogs basically because I let them get away with this today. I let them get away with that tomorrow. But Friday, I kicked their ass for doing the same thing. And they're like, whoa, Dad, you let me get away with that yesterday. Now you're beating my ass. And I felt so bad because I didn't have the consistency that we were talking about.
Right.
Brad explained it to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like teaching the out when guys, they'll give the dog the bite and they'll tell the dog to out and he won't. And he runs up to the decoy. Oh, sorry, bro. And he strong out the dog, comes back. Let me try that again. Sends the dog, bite. Dog's like, no. Oh, sorry, bro. And he strong outs the dog. He sends over the third time. Well, now the dog's starting to get tired. So when he says, out, dog goes, huh, and let's go. What's the first thing they do? They grab the dog and go, yay, winner, and go put the dog in the car.
Right. All
you taught that dog is, if I don't let go, I get a bite again. So right. I get my reward a second time and a third time. If I do what you say and I let go, I get put in the car without a reward.
That's right.
And all my handlers go, oh. I did that yesterday. I go, I know, we all did. I don't stand up here and go, oh, I'm perfect. I screwed shit up for a long, I'm still screwing shit up.
Yeah.
But when I explain it to guys like that, and they go, holy crap, that makes sense. I go, yeah, we're teaching our dog not to let go.
Right. I think we're going to have to do a 2-part series to this video because I have something else I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
Okay, so you just brought up another good topic. This is why I love science so much, because why do we correct our dogs? Like what you just described is right on. But okay, so why do we correct and why do we do things as the human the way that we do them? It's because we believe that's what we're supposed to do. The question is, what if we're wrong?
Yeah.
For example, we anthropomorphize the dog. Anthropomorphism is when we project human emotions onto objects and things. So for an example, if a dog looks at you and they chewed on the coffee table and they look at you out the corner of their eyes and the ears drop back and they get real low to the ground, that's when we say, you knew what you did was wrong.
Yep.
Science has proven that to admit wrongdoing takes a higher level of reasoning and judgment. Specifically, Alexandra Horwitz from Barnard College in New York did a big study on this. And she said, this isn't the dog. Dogs don't have the ability to admit wrongdoing. This is not the guilty look. This is based on the response and the body language of the owner.
Absolutely. 1,000%. And that's a whole section in my lectures.
Yeah.
Is the dog pooping in the house. You come home an hour later, you smell poop in the house. You're like, God bless it. And you start stomping around looking for this damn dog.
Yep.
Dogs are excellent body language readers. 90% of dogs communicate through body language.
Right.
They communicate to each other. So when he sees you come around the corner going, there he is, all of a sudden they're going to go, whoa, shit, I don't know what I did, but I'm getting my ass handed to me. Yeah. Well, yeah, I see he's guilty. No, he's not. Dogs can't feel guilt. I agree with you 1,000%. It's all, you're pissed off because you see something. The second you see it, your whole face changes, your body changes, your demeanor changes. Now you look at the dog and the dog goes, I don't know what's going on, but that's not a good body posture. That's not a good look, and something bad's going to happen.
Yep. Please don't take it out on me.
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. That's why it was funny when you said that, because that's how I have a whole thing when people say, oh, yeah, he knew he was wrong. No.
That's like, right there is based on the human belief that this is truth. If the dog looks like that, now where do they get the idea that the dog is admitting wrongdoing? Because that's similar body language from what we see in little children.
Yeah, from a human, not a dog, yeah.
On the cookie jar, they lie, what do? They slump their shoulders forward, they deflate, they look at you out the corner of the eye, they'll put their hands in their pockets or kick a pebble, and that reminds us of that, so then we put that human emotion on the dog.
Absolutely.
And because we believe it to be true, we discipline the dog, but the dog is not making the connection between the discipline and pooping on the floor.
Right. No, not at all. All they know is, yeah, Dad's kicking my ass. Well, I was scratching my ear 10 seconds ago, so maybe I'm getting my ass kicked for scratching my ear. Yeah. No, same thing when I tell guys, when we're doing distracted obedience for the e-collar, I'm pairing the e-collar, I'll have their toy, the dog's toy, and I'll be like right in front of them, like waving it and playing with it and throwing it. And if the dog breaks from his obedience routine, he gets a correction. If he stays with his obedience routine, he gets paid. Then we step it up with a bite sleeve or bite suit or whatever else. We eventually get down to the point where I'm petting the dog like I talked about. Mm-hmm. In my videos, there's a dog who tries to bite me and gets corrected on a down for biting me. And everyone goes, yeah, well, you corrected him. I asked the question, why did I correct him? Well, he bit you. No, look at his chest. To bite me, he has to lift his chest off the ground. His command was down. Down is with your chest on the ground. I'm correcting them for breaking the obedience position of down, not for trying to bite me.
Right.
But guys don't understand that because they anthropomorphize. They're like, oh, he had an impure thought. He was trying to bite you. No, I don't care what his thought was. For whatever reason, I don't care. As long as your chest doesn't come off the ground, if I'm stupid enough to get my hand close enough where you can bite it, yeah, take it. But if your chest comes off the ground, I'm going to hurt you. And I break it down to the most simplistic terms like that. It's all black and white. And then guys start understanding it, and they start understanding that's why I don't do preparatory commands and all this other stuff. You get one command, and you follow that command until I either give you a release or another command. And guys tell me, well, I don't need to be that consistent on it. I go, do you have a cage at home, a kennel? Well, of course I do. You said your dog's obedient, right? Yeah. Well, why can't you tell the dog to lay down at 8 o'clock at night in a place, go in, have dinner, go to bed, wake up at 6 o'clock? He better be in the same place because you told him to lay down. Well, that's being, unreasonable. No. If you don't, now obviously it's facetious. We aren't going to sit a dog for 8 hours, but the point is, if you have that mentality, guys will lay their dog down and they'll go to do something in their car, and the dog will get up and they'll say, okay, buddy, follow. Whoa, wait a minute. You allowed him to break the down. I know you wanted him to follow you after you got your leash out of the car, but he broke the down and you didn't correct him for it.
Right.
You just missed a beautiful opportunity. So when I get to the point of the training, I tell guys I'll have this maniacal laugh, like, because the dog understands exactly what he's supposed to do.
That's right.
Now you're correctable, pal.
Yep.
Once I get you to 70%, is my belief, 70% of the time you're doing it when I ask you to, through reinforcements. Now you're correctable. That's when I get that laugh, because now the piper can be paid.
That's
now
right.
You're being, disobedient to the point where I can use that punishment and make sure you do it. And the more consistent you are, and I tell guys, if you follow this program religiously and consistently, you will correct your dog so much less, because 95% of the time they're going to be obedient, because they know dogs aren't stupid. If I'm not obedient, dad's going to hurt me. If I'm obedient, dad's going to love me. Let's see, hard way, easy way. Let me take the easy way. Let me not get my ass kicked. Now, 5% is always there because they're dogs.
Right.
Butterflies come out, shiny objects.
Yeah.
Females in heat show up.
Yeah. It's interesting, because it's not often that I talk to another trainer that has almost identical beliefs on how to train a dog.
Well, that's what you paid me the $40 for before we started, right? The check's in the mail, right?
You're right. Yeah. It's monopoly money, though. Use it well. I do want to share with the civilian pet dog people that are going to see this video, when Daryl talks about hammering on the dog or kicking the dog's ass or whatnot, he's not saying that literal. That's police military lingo. What he's saying, to clarify, so nobody thinks that Daryl or myself is abusing dogs, we're saying that there's only one way to modify behavior. Treats and positive reinforcers cannot change pre-existing behavior. No. Only consequences that are unpleasant can change behavior. And that's what he's saying. Daryl has balance. He would not be in business if he didn't have balance. If he was just beating the snot out of dogs, that's going to kill a dog's psychology. And he even talked about it earlier. Dogs redirecting, saying, hey, that wasn't fair. So I want to make that very clear to you non-military and police dog people. What Daryl's simply talking about, that's just work lingo meaning I have to correct the dog in order to shape the behavior. We can't have the dog doing this because other people are in danger if the dog's not listening to the handler. So
absolutely. Perfect point.
And throw that disclosure out there.
Oh, absolutely. And thanks for clearing it up. It's just like when I was talking about the SWAT team. When we're correcting them, we're not dropping off the atomic elbow off the top rope. We're just barely tapping the dog on the back shoulders, but it's a physical. So my definition of a correction is a physical application for disobedience. Whatever that physical application is, but it's got to be a physical application. If you yell phooey at the dog and he corrects his behavior, he still needs a physical application of force. That doesn't have to be, a stick across the back of the head with a 2x4. It can be so much as like, I love and I hate Cesar Millan. His little pinch with that noise is actually that's a marker and physical application of force, which is perfect. Everyone goes, oh yeah, it's bullshit. He's actually a really good entertainer. His first kennel was in the area that I used to patrol in South Central.
Really?
Yeah. And I use him as an example all the time because I'm big on markers You have to mark it with FUI. But if you say the FUI, if you use the F word, not the other F word that I use like a comma sometimes when I'm not on social media. If you use the F word, the FUI word, you better correct that dog physically somehow. I don't care if that's even just a little flick behind the head.
Mm-hmm.
But the dog understands and went, okay, Dad, yeah, thanks for telling me you love me. Because if you don't correct the dog, he knows in his world he was supposed to have been corrected for it. And if you don't, like I said, it shaves a little bit of that leadership off. And it also makes him start to think, wait, maybe Dad isn't my protector. He's not my alpha. He's not my pack leader because he didn't do what he's supposed to do.
Right.
And that's my belief. So yeah, when we talk about correcting dogs, it's not, like I said, a Louisville slugger behind the head.
Right.
If you, with my group, if I catch you abusing a dog, you and I are going to have some serious issues because it's not fair to the dog.
That's right.
And that's what I talk about. I don't correct dogs and muzzles unless I have to. I don't believe in e-collaring a dog from behind, a fence or a long line. Now, I will double line dogs for safety.
Sure.
But I'll also pop those long lines off a minute later, and that dog's now off leash next to me with no muzzle.
Right.
So that's the honesty and the fairness that I believe I show the dog, and I get that reciprocal. And maybe it's anthropomorphism, maybe not, but I believe it's a mentality of the dog of he knows he can bite me. Like I said, that when the dog's laying down and I smack him, he looks at me and goes, "You know I'm off leash, right? You know I can bite you?" "Yeah, I know. There's all kinds of consequences in life. There's another consequence if you bite me." if it was a fair correction, you bite me, there's another consequence coming.
Right.
But I have that trust that I put in the dog, and I believe the dog gives me that trust back. And that's
absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. And you talked about a physical punisher. I consider that, and that fits within my personal definition of a correction. It's a stimulus greater than what they're focused on. It's no different than us watching a movie or reading a book or a newspaper, and your husband or wife starts talking to you, and you hear them talking, but you can't make sense of what they said. Well, what would snap that out of you? If they come up and they hit you, hey, then you're like, oh, what? I was just talking to you for 30 minutes. You didn't hear anything that I said? No, but I can tell you about the book that I was reading. But it took that neurological stimulation. That was a greater stimulus than the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those neurological stimulations, that's part of what makes us mammals, because it's all about survival. And so, like, if I'm talking to you and I'm sharing an in-depth story of something that happened and somebody comes up behind me and pokes me in the ribs, guess what I'm not going to be doing in a split second? I'm not going to be having a conversation with you.
Right.
I'm going to turn to acknowledge what caused that neurological stimulation. So, yeah, everything that you're saying is supported by the psychology. So
the scientific voodoo.
Absolutely, yes. But that's why I love the scientific voodoo, because it lets us know that, no, there is validity to this. And all of those people that are watching this that want to say, I don't care what they say, I don't agree. Well, okay, so that means that you're not agreeing with things that have been scientifically proven to be this way. It's in our nature to be this way. So in other words, what you're saying is I have closed ears and I just want to be right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have trainers, we have civilians, we have handlers that are in fact that way. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's true.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Well, most times, the only thing two trainers can agree on, right?
That the third trainer is wrong.
Third one screwed up. Yeah, how bad yeah. I'd never do that with my dog. Jeez, man, that guy's an idiot.
I hear that all the time, which is, and that's exactly why I'm doing these videos, is to open people's minds, just like in the movie The Matrix. In fact, there's a lot of neuroscientists that say that, the movie The Matrix, it's not a movie, it's a documentary.
Oh, okay.
Because literally how we believe shapes our reality within our environment.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So, yeah, if you want to be closed-minded, then fine. You're just going to be an average handler. But if you really want to make a difference, you need to open your mind to different techniques. There's not one technique that's right. And the other thing, I got to be honest with you, Daryl, one of the things that I hate is when somebody takes old science and makes it their own. Like they say, well, I invented this new system. No, you didn't.
No.
Nobody invented anything new. This is stuff that scientists, not trainers, this is stuff that scientists have come out with over the last few hundred years to say this is how we perceive our world. And when we have a perception, then it modifies our belief, which modifies our behaviors. Like that's
Yeah.
all of training and what it is. So no one's invented anything new, but they put their little spin on it, and then
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
put it with a name, and they're like, well, it's my dog training system. How did the Romans back in the day, one Roman soldier would have 8 to 10 mastiff looking dogs, these war dogs, and each one weighed over 100, between 100 and 120 pounds.
Yep.
How did they maintain control?
It's hilarious to say that because I was just going to bring up the Legionnaires. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did they do it back then? It's because nothing that we do now is anything new. The only thing that we are trying to do is create a greater understanding for the person who has to take over. Right. So you as the trainer, you've got to make them understand. That's where there's the difference, is how you're presenting the information, which is why for me, I ended up selling my kennel, and that's all I want to do is focus on helping people understand what trainers like you are trying to do and the information that's in their head. And it sounds like your class is right on, man.
Oh, dude, I have a blast teaching, and I'm really, really blessed. I have a core group of guys. I got Mike Gooseby, who's the head trainer of LAPD, is my neighbor right here.
Nice.
We talk to each other all the time. I got Romeo Ingresso, is one of our original guys that helped me with he's a sheriff and has a company with Ernie Wolowitz from Long Beach. I got guys in Mesa, Scott Calendar, some of these other guys that there's this core group of guys. When you say, no one invented anything, I 24/7, my phone number, if you want to put it up on, it's on my website anyway. That's my cell phone. And people get surprised because they'll call me and I'll answer it. They're like, oh, I thought this was like a business, like an answering machine. No, this is my cell phone, dude. I put it out there, and I'm putting it out there right now. Anybody has any questions, 24/7, if you're under a problem, you want an answer, it might not be right, but it's what I think. Mm-hmm. And if you hit me with a problem, I'm like, damn, I don't know. Let me get back to you. I'll call these guys. Hey, have you ever had this problem? What do you think? What do you do? Because I can't give you all the answers. There's absolutely no way. But my wife laughs, 11, 12 o'clock at night, my phone ring. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. Okay, that happened? Okay, here, try this. If it doesn't work, call me right back. All right, bro. All right, man. Yeah, be safe. All right, cool. Bye. Click. My wife goes, who was that? I go, I have no idea. Judging by the time zone, I'm thinking maybe an East Coaster, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's the way I am. And I want to make sure, anyone watching, call me if you have a question or if you run into something and something works really well, let me know, because I'll call it my own and I'll make money off it. Hell, Put it the Daryl Gaunt training method. Oh, I learned this. But yeah, so I'm really lucky to have that core group of guys that have a ton of knowledge and make me look good, because I get back to the person and go, hey, this is what so-and-so said, try it. If it doesn't work, blame them. If it does work, I'll take the credit.
Well, what I'll do, Daryl, is I'm going to put your website information above.
Okay.
And also your phone number, so other handlers can reach out to you if they do have questions, if they want to pick your brain a little bit.
Absolutely.
Man, I can't thank you enough for this. Has been an awesome conversation. I think we've touched on, we went from just really talking about obedience and behavior to all sorts of different things. So this has been awesome. I really appreciate your time. I think you're doing some great work out there in California. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Like I said, give me an excuse to talk about dogs. I'll talk your ear off. So,
great,
and thanks for doing the stuff you're doing. Because like I said, once you and I talked, when I first saw some of your stuff, I'm like, well, I do that. Well, now I know why I do it. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. So yeah, no, it helps to have, like you said, the background behind it to say, hey, there's some foundation to why we're doing it, not just throwing it against the wall, making it stick.
You got it, man. You got it, brother. So,
awesome.
All right, Daryl, thanks again, brother. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Daryl and I as we get into the conversation of working dogs. It's been a great interview with Daryl, and just wanted to say thank you for tuning in and watching. So for now, stay safe, watch your six, and as always, Semper Fi.